The first and only Love Live OVA was released in November 2013 between seasons 1 and 2 of School Idol Project. It's never been officially subbed, let alone dubbed. At this point, it's more or less just a bizarre footnote in Love Live history. Despite being really obscure and only getting one release solely in Japan, is there anything here that makes it worth tracking down? Well, in hindsight, it feels like an experiment, one that requires a bit of a history lesson. Love Live was always created as a multimedia project. Muse started long before the anime was likely even conceptualized. Their first single, which also came with an animated PV, was basically a complete bomb on release. In spite of that, new singles continued to come out, each featuring a new animated PV, slowly picking up small bits of steam till the anime shot the brand into actual popularity. Music Start was the first single to be released in this format after the anime had aired, so rather than the standard CD with an animated PV on a DVD, a special edition of the single was offered, one that came with an exclusive 15-minute OVA. Personally, I believe this was done as a way of trying to lure in fans of the anime, fans who enjoyed the show but may not initially be interested in buying a CD with vague ties to it would be attracted to the release with the promise of a new short. Either it wasn't successful, or they figured it was unnecessary, because this was the only time this was ever done. In fact, Muse never received any new animated PVs with their album releases after this, before their retirement. The practice would pick up again with the debut of Aqua, though, and still happens to this day. However, none of these ever came with an OVA. Not even Muse's anniversary single from 2020. It had a PV, but that was it. No OVA or anything of the like, even though you'd think it would have made more sense with that. So this OVA is the only of its kind. Well, what's it about, you're probably asking? I have no idea. I've watched it multiple times. Yeah, if there's anything this OVA is known for, it's that it's fucking weird. We open on Maki running through a dark hallway before she ends up in a church room, I think, and is trapped in a cage by masked cultists. Who are these girls? I love their reaction, it's one of the best gags of this. Anyway, it's revealed Maki was telling Hanayo about a dream she had. Then she says,
今も夢の中だったらどうする?
why not? I guess. It's Maki going to practice alone, and after no music comes out of the piano, she's interrupted by a younger version of herself. Next day, everyone else has practice, and finds out Maki never came to school. They figure she's sick and decide to go visit to see if she's alright. We also get this bit, which I found funny and cute. Also, probably the most direct shippy moment between Nico and Maki at this point in the series, so that's something. Also, it's revealed Tiny Maki's been watching them. As they're leaving, Ellie realizes she forgot a textbook, and we get the last notable gag I like. I mean, I found it funny at least. Good visual comedy. She catches the shadow of Tiny Maki watching her, chases her for a minute and a half, I counted, and then ends up outside where everyone's shocked it's now night. Tiny Maki then introduces herself to everyone's shock. She reveals they're all in a dream, and it's a never-ending party, basically giving this a plot on the level of that School Idol Festival Persona 5 collab they did last year. She also says she's always known them, and that is cut off as she evolves back into normal Maki. Honoka asks her what she was going to say, and then Tiny Maki says she's always loved all of them. Then they have a never-ending party in the form of a music video. It's 5 minutes long and takes up a third of the runtime of this 15 minutes OVA, so accurate enough title, I guess. It's cute, the song's good, the animation's nice, and there's some really adorable visuals. But, that's it. That's the end of the OVA. I kinda get why they never made any more of these. This OVA is, quite frankly, kinda terrible. It's surrealism over substance. Whenever I've watched this, I always try to get something out of it, but in the end, it really feels like it says and does nothing. The whole child Maki and dream plots are just there. They don't do anything with them or even try and say anything. If I had to guess, Child Maki is sort of an embodiment of Maki's inner desire for closeness with the others. She always puts on the front of a cold tsundere, but to a degree, especially in season 1, she's a lonely rich girl who feels isolated and pressured by her expectations. She wants friends, even if she'd never admit it. But then her saying she's always been watching them and always loved them even before they became a group of friends is just objectively false. At the very least, I've always assumed based on episode 1, Maki had never met any of the others till the events of the series. One of the only members of Muse to have that distinction, in fact. Like, they imply she didn't even really know Rin and Hanyo prior. I guess she did support them from a distance for, like, 2 episodes before joining? I know it's not literal, probably, but how am I supposed to interpret this? Maybe it's like she's always been watching others from the sidelines, silently yearning for closeness. Child Maki always loved them, as in she always had the desire to have the closeness and the capability to love her friends, even if she hadn't met them yet. I feel like I'm talking complete nonsense at this point. The song really adds nothing either. I feel like the best and most memorable insert songs in Love Live are the ones that feel like they add something, that feel like they mean something, either through tying into an episode's theme, representing a big character moment or plot point, or having sufficient build-up, but this just kind of feels like, well, I have a party? I guess. Maybe it's supposed to represent the group's closeness and how much fun they can have when letting themselves be close? I don't know. I feel like the premise of exploring Maki's desire for closeness with the group and potentially lonely childhood is actually a really interesting one for an OVA to explore, but there's nothing of any real substance here. If you want to burn 15 minutes, there's worse ways to do this. We're probably never getting animated Muse content again, so I don't not recommend tracking this down for yourself, but you're really not missing out on anything either, unfortunately.